The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Naptip, is constantly working to ensure that the twin evils of human trafficking and violence against persons is eradicated in Nigeria. I am Emanuela Okeke. Thank you for joining us on Naptip on the Move. Today's episode is packed with some activities of the agency geared towards fulfilling its mandate. We will commence with Day 2 of the 6th Interpol Global Conference on Human Trafficking and Migrant Smuggling. Stay with us.
With the successful completion of Day 1 of the 6th Interpol Global Conference on Human Trafficking and Migrant Smuggling, Day 2 began in earnest with opening remarks from Valdesi Urquiza, the Assistant Director, Vulnerable Communities Subdirectorate Interpol, followed by a presentation on human trafficking in migration flows by delegates from Switzerland, Nigeria, France and Ivory Coast, with the moderator Innocentia Apovo from the Trafficking in Human Beings Unit, Interpol. A second panelist discussion by delegates from Zambia, Sweden and the Maldives, with the moderator Abdurrahman Mohammed Mustafa from Financial Intelligence Unit, Nigeria, was on human trafficking, migrant smuggling and financial flows. There was another set of panelist discussion on overcoming obstacles to prosecution by delegates from America, Oman and Spain, with Abimbola Adeumi from UNODC Nigeria as moderator. The use of technologies to investigate human trafficking and migrant smuggling was also discussed by delegates from France, America, Austria and Hong Kong, with Christian Parella from Security Outreach Team, Facebook Italy, as the moderator. Some of the delegates at the conference shared their thoughts.
What I've learned is that there's a great commission and contribution and willingness from at least Nigeria and other African countries in fighting this crime. I'm actually the police attaché for the Netherlands in Nigeria and working on the topic of trafficking human beings. And what I've experienced in the last 3 years is that everybody is improving their quality, also on capacity building, but also on training and knowledge, to get a better understanding on the crime of trafficking human beings. So I think this was very fruitful on bringing all the African counterparts together and also learn from what we do in Europe, what we can attribute in Africa, and how you can work together in Africa.
It was a good opportunity indeed to discuss and to have word with different our counterparts from different parts of the world and communicate with them and promise to cooperate with them in future cases.
The 6th Interpol conference on this area is very important and very crucial to China government and the China authorities, and we are very grateful for this precious opportunity to let us show what we have done, what we have achieved, in this area.
The topics that have been discussed here are very relevant to our line of work. Uber is a company that's obviously involved in the transportation industry. We think we can really play a contribution, in helping law enforcement to deal, with cases of human trafficking. Because the truth is, these people have to be transported from point A to point B.
With remarks from the head, Interpol National Central Bureau, Nigeria, Olushola Kamar Subair, and the Director, Organizing and Emerging Crime, Interpol, Paul Stanfield, the two-day conference, which was highly interactive, came to a close.
A sensitization workshop at the University of Abuja to warn the youths on the dangers of human trafficking and irregular migration was organized by Raduja in collaboration with Naptip. Keep watching.
To strengthen partnership with Naptip on illegal migration and human trafficking, staff of Re-Educating Africans on the Risk and Dangers of Unplanned Journey Abroad and Empowering the Youths, Raduja, led by the founder, Honorable Eddie Duru, paid a courtesy call to the Director General of Naptip and her team at the agency's headquarters. Honorable Eddie Duru applauded the efforts of Naptip and stressed the need for sustained awareness campaigns as a tool to curb illegal migration and human trafficking.
The work of Naptip can not only be to arrest, prosecute, and put people to jail. It's like a task force. Naptip has been doing it powerfully, like of course paramilitary, not like. But then I felt also we have to pay deeper attention into enlightenment, because that is for me number one. The Western world everywhere, they do everything in the government wherever we are to prevent the issue before we begin to cure, which is even cheaper.
Receiving the team from Raduja, the Director General of Naptip, Dame Julie Oka-Donley, reiterated the need for grassroots sensitization.
Sensitization and awareness can never be enough, can never be too much. And that has been my focus on resumption in Naptip. Rural communities, most importantly, there's a lot going on because all these people you're talking about, most of them are ignorant. Most of them have this mindset that anything outside Nigeria is the best. And so we need to concentrate on the rural communities. It's also good for us to identify the endemic areas like the coastal communities and border communities and concentrate our efforts there.
She also spoke on encouraging destination countries not to embark on forced repatriations of victims of human trafficking.
What we're trying to do with the destination countries so far, we're trying to encourage them not to embark on forced repatriations, especially when they find out that the victims are victims of human trafficking and not just irregular migrants who found themselves there. Once they establish that they are trafficked victims, they should rather do what we call a voluntary assisted return. Encourage them to return by empowering them. Find out what each of them wants to do when they go back to Nigeria. For example, what do you want to do in Nigeria? Do you want to go into farming business? Do you want to go? How much do you think it will cost you? And they give them the money to just go back. It's cheaper for them to do that. So at the end of the day, everybody's happy. You don't force anyone. Nobody's hiding. I can assure you that if they offer that, almost everybody will leave their country.
At the end of the meeting, a memorandum of understanding was signed as both parties agreed to work together in the fight against human trafficking and illegal migration. Following the visit, the Director General of Naptip, Dame Julie Oka-Donley, and her team were at an awareness seminar organized by the Raduja team tagged Say No to Unplanned Journey Abroad, held at the Management Science Faculty of the University of Abuja. A welcome address by the Vice-Chancellor of the University was delivered by his representative, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academics.
I know there are challenges at home, but before we begin to embark on some journeys, it's important to understand your point of departure, have your compass and radar clear so that you know where you are headed for. It's always appearing to be greener on the other side. It is not so. With growing nationalism across the globe, borders are actually shrinking in the midst of a globalized world. The borders are getting fenced in because of economic and social challenges, including terrorism. So every other country is doing whatever it takes to secure her borders, provide for her own citizens first and foremost. So when you decide to embark on unplanned journeys, illegal migration, etc., the risks far outweigh any imagined benefits.
The representative of the German ambassador to Nigeria also gave a word of advice on legal migration.
From the German government, we are happy to support this campaign, this initiative, and we think it's in our common best interest is not to go the dangerous journey to do the horrible thing of irregular migration, because I have seen with my own eyes it is not pretty. So we encourage all of you to work hard, study hard, and to not be tempted by traffickers and whatnot, and do the right thing.
The founder of Rarduja, Honorable Eddie Duru, spoke on the ills of illegal migration, followed by a short documentary presentation on the horrors of traveling to Europe through sea and desert. Ace comedian Ayo Makung, popularly known as AY, entertained the guests and shed more light on the dangers of illegal migration.
What you saw there is not film trick. They're not be Photoshop on us, now that real life video. And these things are happening because people come around you, they deceive you. We don't hear different story now. They say from Morocco, they see Spain. So now that you come and say, hey, Morocco, they're Africa. So if I reach Morocco, I will see Spain. The kind of Spanish where your life and career will speak for that journey. Now, what you see there, it is wrong for us to believe that we can just use shortcuts.
The Director General of Naptip, Dame Julie Oka-Donley, then spoke on the mandate of the agency.
Naptip is the national agency for the prohibition of trafficking in persons, and it is the federal government of Nigeria's focal agency saddled with the responsibility of fighting human trafficking and violence against persons. It is mandated to coordinate all trafficking in persons laws. We have the powers to arrest and prosecute offenders, to rehabilitate victims, to prevent occurrence through sensitization, which is what we are doing now, and partnership, which is what we are doing with Raduya, with relevant stakeholders in order to reduce the crime to the barest minimum.
She also spoke on the dangers of human trafficking and illegal migration.
There's so many consequences of illegal migration. Loss of lives, you saw the video, through the desert, through the Mediterranean Sea, for the girls, unwanted pregnancies, diseases for the girls and the boys. You're raped on a daily basis by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 men. From the beginning of the journey till you get to the destination of the journey, that is, even till you get to the transit, which is like Libya, that is another hell on earth. Then if you manage to get to the destination country, that is when the hell starts properly. They rape you, and you have the madams that will collect the money from you. So don't be deceived, it is a very, very sad situation.
At the end of the awareness seminar, all participants made affirming statements against human trafficking and irregular migration. Naptip, in collaboration with Rarduja, enjoins the general public to desist from irregular migration, as the illegal routes to Europe is a notorious den for human traffickers.
Human trafficking is one of the worst crimes on earth. It is a grave violation of your human rights. The victims of human trafficking are majorly women, youths, children, and men who may never live to tell the story. These victims could be your wife, daughter, mother, sister, brother, child, or relative. No one deserves to be trafficked. Naptip has intensified its effort against this heinous crime, but we need your support. We need you to join this fight. Government officials, corporate organizations, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and the organized private sector have enlisted in this fight. What are you waiting for? Join Naptip to end this global moral epidemic now.
Report cases of human trafficking to these Naptip hotlines 0703 00 203 or 080 0022 5562 7848. Naptip, ensuring a human trafficking-free nation.
We now move on to the recent press conference where 4 suspects were paraded. You do not want to miss this for anything.
The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons recently held a press conference at its headquarters in Abuja. The Director, Investigation and Monitoring, Josiah Emerole, spoke on the purpose of the press briefing.
We are presenting to you 4 cases bordering on alleged trafficking of persons, buying of human beings, rape, and violence against persons. The first case has to do with alleged buying of a child involving one 43-year-old woman, Stephanie Isaacson Bassi, an indigene of Akwa Ibom State who lives in Sweden. The suspect was brought into the agency by the officers of the Intelligence and International Cooperation Unit after she was handed over by the Embassy of Sweden in Nigeria on the suspicion that the child she came with was not her own. She had gone to the embassy to procure travel documents for a 2-month-old baby, a boy, whom she claimed was her child. She claimed to have become pregnant for her husband in Sweden, but that medical examinations could not dictate the pregnancy over there. Because of her insistence, a DNA has been conducted on her and the baby, and the results which we have received clearly indicate that there is no biological relationship between the woman and the baby. And this is a copy of the DNA result that we have received concerning that. Following these results, we have arrested her so she could tell us the source of the baby. The baby, meanwhile, is being taken care of by our caregivers while investigations continue.
There was also a case of domestic violence involving a 14-year-old house help.
The second case is that of alleged domestic violence against one 37-year-old woman from Imo State, Mrs. Ifeoma Obiwan. The woman, who claimed to be a health worker, was alleged to have inflicted grievous body injury on her 14-year-old house help. The suspect, who accused the victim of beating her child, allegedly placed a knife on fire until it became very hot, and then placed it on the victim's thigh and buttocks, thereby leaving her with grievous body injuries. The victim was also left untreated until operatives of the agency rescued her.
A rape case involving a civil servant was reported.
The third case is a rape case against a 37-year-old man, Mr. Francis Yusuf, from Plateau State, and a staff of the Nigeria Investment Promotion Council, NIPC, Abuja. Mr. Yusuf allegedly raped his wife's cousin before leaving for work. The victim, who claimed to have been a virgin until that incident, had to escape from the house through the window. The wife was away when the incident occurred. When the suspect was arrested, operatives of the agency took him to his house same day and recovered his bedsheets with bloodstains. He could not explain why there was bloodstain on the floor of his house and on his mattress. We are still on that case.
Another case on the maltreatment of a house help is also being handled by the agency.
The last but not the least involves one 29-year-old Mrs. Sandra Obiosio, an indigene of Rivers State. She and her husband procured a 12-year-old girl from Nasarawa State and allegedly subjected the girl to all manner of abuse and ill treatment. The little girl, who looked malnourished and harassed, said that she wakes up at 4 a.m. every day to do the house chores and prepares the woman's 2 children for school. As soon as the children leave for school, she and the suspect will proceed to Jahi, where she owns a shop. They do not leave the shop until 8 p.m. every day. On getting home, she continues with the house chores and does not go to bed until between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. daily. The victim was promised to be enrolled into school, which has not happened, and she is also not being paid for the service rendered. She also does not feel well. The victim also has scars all over her body as a result of several beatings from the suspects. We also continue with the investigation. All these cases are contrary to various sections of the Trafficking in Persons Prohibition Enforcement and Administration Act 2015, TIPIA, and the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015. As soon as investigations are over on these cases, the suspects will be charged to court.
The alleged suspects were interrogated by members of the press. The press briefing is in line with the agency's mandate to showcase alleged suspects in order to deter perpetrators of violence and human traffickers.
The Director Training and Manpower Development took public enlightenment on human trafficking issues to NIPS in Plateau State.
In order to enlighten the public on the prospects of community policing with respect to human trafficking, the Director, Training and Manpower Development, Olubiyi Olushayo, delivered a lecture on Strengthening Internal Security Framework and Community Policing in Nigeria, Models, Policy Options and Strategies at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies at Kuru in Jos, Plateau State. The Director spoke on the trends of human trafficking, the 5 strategies adopted by the agency, and the essence of community policing in combating human trafficking in Nigeria. At the end of the lecture, an award was presented to the agency for its tireless work in the fight against human trafficking. The need for community awareness as regards issues of human trafficking and violence against persons will help the agency's mandate in the fight against human trafficking in Nigeria.
The last, but certainly not the least, is the bust of a human trafficking gang where underage girls are used for prostitution. Wonders, they say, never end.
Following an intelligence report, operatives of Naptip, in a joint operation with officers of the Nigeria Police Force, raided the notorious Thales Guest House, popularly known as 3-3, located at the Powerline area of Kubwa in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, where they rescued 11 underage girls subjected to sexual exploitation and arrested 4 suspects for harboring and exploiting the girls, who were lured from various parts of the country with promises of employment in the Federal Capital Territory. In accordance with Sections 43 and 52 of the Trafficking in Persons Prohibition, Enforcement and Administration Act 2015, which authorizes Naptip to enter, search and seal up properties suspected to be used for human trafficking purposes, Thales Guest House, Kubwa, was sealed off pending further investigations.
The Enugu State Zonal Command of Naptip recovered a boy of about 2 years old from his buyer in Obosi, Anambra State. We have to break protocol to reveal his face, as we plead with all well-meaning Nigerians and anyone who can identify him to please inform his parents and relations to visit the Naptip Zonal Command in Enugu State with relevant documents and medical records for identification and reunion. Please be informed that all documents will be scrutinized and further medical tests carried out to ascertain claims. If anyone has a lead, please call 0708 060 1803, 0708 060 1803. The children whose faces you see on your screen are missing. 5-year-old Chibundu Uzo and 4-year-old Victor Uzo are both brothers of the same parents. The 2 brothers were abducted outside their house, located opposite Dakibi Police Station in Jabi area of Abuja on the 22nd day of June 2018. If you have a lead, please call These Naptip hotlines on your screen.
For more enquiries and support, or to report cases of suspected human trafficking and child abuse, please call Naptip hotlines on 0703 0000203 or 0800 2255 627847 or email info@naptip.gov.ng. Visit our website www.naptip.gov.ng. Follow us on our social media platforms at Naptip Nigeria and watch our videos on YouTube.
I hope you've been enlightened. Human trafficking is real. Do not become a victim. Report suspected cases of human trafficking, child abuse and violence against persons to Naptip. We are counting on your support. Do join us again, same time next week. I am Emanuela Okeke. Goodbye.